David, I read it.
So it's set up inside, it looks like it's for everyone.
It's for,
It's a sponsored
Sharon Herwick's friend there, special birthday or something.
Yeah, I may have to leave before the Kaddish though, unfortunately.
We're not gonna stay for
No, the Claridge has a lot of movies that I'm seeing movies at the Claridge now. Claridge is open again, so. I saw The Godfather finally for the first time in the theater, because, I was too young to see it when I in 1972.
Shabbat.
Yeah.
Carolyn, did you make a shechianu?
Yes,
Good.
as soon as I came in.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
David and Donna look the same except with masks on. Oh, this is what it is.
Yeah.
It's good to see you in real life, Rabbi.
Actually, I'm just a hologram. Not really me.
I'll look at what they want to leave, they're redoing that show. With a woman in it this time. They're redoing early, I think it's a woman, someone else. Early edition as well, they're redoing that. So they're redoing a lot of shows.
Good Shabbos, David.
Good job.
You're not reading it. But you're not reading it off, you're just off road. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. We begin on page 65 with the morning brachot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasech vivina lehavchin bein yom uvein laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani betzalmo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani ben chorim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam roka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa li kol tzorki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael betifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten layaev koach. Be seated. Baruch atah Adonai. Next page. שאנחנו משכימים ומעריבים ערב ובוקר ואומרים פעמיים בכל יום שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. קדש את שמך מקדישי שמך וקדש את שמך בעולמך בישועתך תרים בתגביה קרננו ברכתו אדוני מקדש את שמך ברבים. Let's read the first paragraph on page 68 together. Once Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was walking with his disciple Rabbi Yoshua near Jerusalem after the destruction of the temple. Rabbi Yoshua looked at the temple ruins and said, "Alas for us, the place that atoned for the sins of the people Israel through the ritual of animal sacrifice lies in ruins." Then Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai spoke to him these words of comfort. "Be not grieved, my son. There is another equally meritorious way of gaining atonement. Even though the temple is destroyed, we can still gain atonement through deeds of loving kindness. For it is written, loving kindness I desire, not sacrifice." Bottom of 70, Yeratom Ufanachar Nolan, who was saying, Ushititain Chelkena B'Toratecha, V'niyemi Tamidav Shel Aaron HaKohen, Ohev Shalom V'rodev Shalom, Ohev Et HaBriotim, Karvan LaTorah. Well, not quite. So we continue now. Page 72. Hayom Yom Shabbat Kodesh Bo Yuavim Omriyim Beveit HaMikdash. Alei Asab L'Navel. Tzadik Adonai Yifrach Keres Balbanon Nizgesh Tulim Beveit Adonai B'chatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Odinu V'Meseva D'Shenim Rananim Yiyu L'Agid Ki Asher Adonai Tzuri V'Lo Avla Tabo. Page 81. Mizmor Shir Chanukat Habayit L'David Aram Nakidili. Samlana Chazida Bodu Zechva Chokira Gabiya Bochai Birtzano Bevelin Bechi Bila Bokerin Avani Mati Bishavi Balimot Yolam Aruna Birtzon Chohem Aratale Hariya Ozistar Banacha Yisni Falalecha Adonai Kraban Shma Adonai V'choneini Adonai Heyei Ozer Li Afachta Mispidi Lemacholi Pitachta Saki Vata Azreini Simcha Lemani Zamercha Chavo V'lo Yidom Adonai Elohai Leolamoteka. Mourner's Kaddish, page 82. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shmei Rabba v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba mevarach li'olam l'omel maya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei d'kudisha b'richu v'yelam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiram b'yalma v'yimru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. V'oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yal kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru Amen. Page 83. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam baruch hu Baruch Hoseh v'reishit Baruch Omer v'yosem Baruch Ozer u'mekayem Baruch merachem al ha'aretz Baruch merachem al ha'briot Baruch meshalem sachar tov lireyav Baruch Chai La'ad V'Kayam Lanetzach Baruch Bodeh U'Matzil Baruch Shemo, Baruch Shemo Baruch Shemo, Baruch Shemo Baruch Shemo, Baruch Shemo Baruch Shemo. Chidchei ha'olamim melech mishubach u'mufar adiyat shemo gadol baruch ato Adonai melech muhlal v'tishbachot. We may take our seats. Page 86, middle of the page. Hoshia et amecha uvarech et nachlatecha Ureim, 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 ureim v'naseim ad ha'olam Hoshia et amecha וברך את נחלתך. Ureim, 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 v'naseim, ureim, v'naseim, ad ha'olam. אני בחסדך בטחתי, יגל ליבי בישועתך, שיר על אדוני, כי גמל עלי. Page 93 at the bottom. Nafshenu, nafshenu, chikta ladonai, ezreinu, maginenu. Nafshenu, nafshenu, chikta ladonai, ezreinu, maginenu. Ki vo yismach li yibeinu, ki v'shem kodsho v'tachnu, ki vo yismach li yibeinu, ki v'shem kodsho v'tachnu. Yalalai, lai, 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 yalalai, lai, 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 yalalai, ai, lai, 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 ai, lai, 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 yalai, lai, 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 yalai, ai, lai, 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 ai, lai, 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 ai, 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 lai, ai, lai, 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 ai, lai, lai, nay ay li la yehi chazdecha Adonai aleinu ka asher yichalnu lach yehi chazdecha Adonai aleinu ka asher yichalnu lach. 94. Middle of 94 in the English. Let's read these words and take them hopefully as a prayer and as an encouragement and as a source of hope. The wicked may flourish, springing up like grass, but their doom is sealed, for you are supreme forever. Your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish, all the wicked shall crumble. But me you have greatly exalted. I am anointed with fragrant oil. I have seen the downfall of my foes. I have heard the despair of my attackers. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree, shall grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they will thrive in the courts of our God. When the terrible, obscene war started by Russia began against Ukraine, I mentioned the teaching of Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who said that human history can be understood as a result of the obsession of human beings to take control of space. And one nation decides that they need all the space that the other nation occupies and tries to conquer it and tries to take it over, and it doesn't matter if it destroys property and a human life itself, just get more Lebensraum, as some truly exceptionally evil people used to say. The obsession with space. This is Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat. This is the psalm that is the song of the day of Shabbat. Rabbi Heschel explained the teaching of our tradition, the gift to the world that we have given, is not to be obsessed with space, but to be obsessed with time, and to try to take possession of time, to try to sanctify time itself, and that's what the idea of Shabbat is. Shabbat is the very antidote to what is happening in our world today. If our world were more concerned, with more creative in making Shabbat a reality in our values and in our approaches to life, we wouldn't be having the kind of rampant destruction that we are wreaking upon ourselves and that we are wreaking upon the entire globe in our obsession with getting more stuff, getting more room, taking over more of the world, taking over more space. Sitting back a little bit and letting the world breathe is what Shabbat is about. It's what this year, which is Shabbat Haaretz, the 7th sabbatical year, Shemitah, what it's about, the attempt to teach us to be a little more humble with the way that we coexist with reality. 95. Adonai Malach Keus Levesh Levesh Adonai Hosis Asarati Konti Vivati Motnachon Ki Zachamiyaz Mielamat Anasanas Adonai Nasanas Kalam Nasanas Lachem Mikolot Maim Rabbi Madiri Mishprei Amadir Bamarom Adonai Yedot Echanem Numiot Leveit Chana Bakodesh Adonai Liorech Yamim. 96. Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha Od Yehallelucha Sela Ashrei Ha'am Shekacha Lo Ashrei Ha'am Shadonai Elohav Tehila LeDavid Aromimecha Elohai HaMelech Bavarcha Shiyimcha Le'olam Ed bechol yom avarcheka v'halel shimcha leolam va'ed gadol Adonai umhulal me'od v'ligedulato ein cheker dor ledor yishabach ma'asecha ugvurotecha yagidu Adar kevod hodecha v'divrei nifleotecha asicha Vesus norotecha yomeru ugedulatcha asaprena zecher avtuvcha yabiu v'tzidikatcha yeraneinu Chanun v'rachum Adonai Erech apayim ugdol chased Tov Adonai lakol V'rachamam alekol ma'asav Yoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha V'achasidecha Yevarchucha Kvod malchutcha Yomeru ugvuratcha Yedaberu Lehodi Alivnei Adam Gevurotav Uchevod Hadar Malchuto Malchutcha Malchut Kol Olamim Umemshaltecha Bechol Dor Vador Somech Adonai lechol hanoflim ve'zokef lechol hakfufim einei chol elecha yisaberu ve'ata noten lahem et ochlam be'ito Poteach et yadecha u'mahaspia lechol chai ratzon tzadik Adonai bechol derachav v'chasin bechol ma'asav Karov Adonai lechol korav lechol asher yikra'u be'emet Ritzon yireyav yaseh ve'et shavatam yishma ve'yoshi'em Shomer Adonai et kol ohava ve'et kol arsha'im Yashmi tihilat Adonai yedaber piv yivarech kol basar shem kodsho le'olam va'ed va'anachnu nevarech yamei ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam Hallelujah. 100, the bottom half of the page, Psalm 150. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. hallelujah, 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 el bekocho, hallelujah, birekia uzo, hallelujah, big vurotav, hallelujah, kerov good lo, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 beteka shofar, hallelujah, benevel vechinor, hallelujah, betofu machol, hallelujah, beminim veyugav, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 betzilzele shama, hallelujah, betzilzele trua, kolane shama, te hallelujah, hallelujah, kolane shama, te hallelujah, hallelujah, baruch Adonai Olam, amen, v'amen, baruch. וברוך שם כבודו לעולם וימלא כבודו את כל הארץ, אמן ואמן. We rise 102. ויושע נביא המועז ירמים מצוני. ויאמינו אדוני ומשה עבדו, אז ישיר משה ובני ישראל את השירה הזאת לאדוני, ויאמרו לאמור, השירה לאדוני כי גאו גאה, סוס ורחבו רמה וים. השירה לאדוני כי גאו גאה, סוס ורחבו רמה וים. עוזי וזמרת ים, ויהי לי לישועה. עוזי וזמרת ים, ויהי לי לישועה. זה אלי וענווהו, אלוהי אבי וארום ממנו. זה אלי וענווהו, אלוהי אבי וארום ממנו. אדוני ישמעו חמו, אדוני שמע מה כבוד מלכנו. ורבן חתר אז כמר תשלח אהרון חייך למך קשו ולכפך נאמו מים מצוות כמות נתנוס נמכבוד ואמונה אף שרכבית השם ידין שבו בך ויסם ים צלוק הפרס ממים אדירים ואנו לפי אדום אליהם ואב יחזם ורען המוקול יש מכנת תבול עליהם המאסה וחג ודוז רוח וידמו כל אבן עד יברם כל אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד כי יבסוס פרו ברכבו בפרשת הים וישב אדוני אלוהים את מי הים ובני ישראל הלכו ביבשה בתוך הים ותיקח מרים הנביאה אחות אהרון את התוף בידה ותצאנה כל הנשים אחריה בתופים ובמחולות ותען להם מרים שירו לאדוני כי גאו גאה סוס ורחבו רמה וים כי לאדוני מלוכה משה בגויים ויאמר משה בארצי אל נשפוט את הריסה והייתה לאדוני המלוכה והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Take our seats, 104. נשמעת כל חי תברך את שמך אין הם יודו ויבורכו וישבחו ויפארו וירוממו ויעריצו ויעקשו וימלכו היל בתעצומות עוזך, הגדול בכבוד שמך, הגיבור לנצח, והנורא בנורותיך, המלך היושב על כיסא רם ונישא. We're at the middle of page 105, bridging from the end of Psukei de Zimra and then continuing into Shacharit. Shochena de marom vekadosh shemo Yisharim etit halal, divrei tzadikim titbarach, vilshon chasidim etit romam, uvekerev kedoshim etit kadash, uvemakalot revivot amecha beit Yisrael. שכן חובת כל היצורים לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, להודות, להלל, לשבח, לפאר, לרומם, להדר, לברך, להעלה ולקלס, על כל דברי שירות ותשבחות דוד בן ישי, עבדך משיחך. We rise 106. ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, כי לך נאה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו. שיר ושבחה, הלל וזמרה, עוז וממשלה הנצח, גדולה וגבורה, תהילה ותפארת, קדושה ומלכות, ברכות והודאות, מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול ותשבחות, אל ההודאות אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה. מלך חי העולמים, יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ילמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחי לכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. היי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעולם מיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודש יבריחו נעלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן ביעלמד אמרו אמן. 107. Take our seats. Baruch atah melech haolam yotzer oruvo ureicho shech oseh shalom uborei et hakol. אין כיף אדוני אלוהינו בעולם הזה, וינצלתך מלכנו לחיי העולם הבא. אפס פלתך גואלנו לימות המשיח, ואין דומה לך מושיענו לתחיית המתים. 108. אל אדון לכל המעשים, ברוך ומבורך בפי כל נשמה, גודלו וטובו מלא עולם, דעת ותבונה סובבים אותו. המתגאה עליך היות הקודש, ונדר בכבוד על המרכבה, על המרכבה. זכות ומישור לפני כי יסור חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו טובים מאורות שברא אלוהינו יצרם בדעת בבינה ובהשכל כוח וגבורה נתן בהם להיות מושלים בקרב תבל מלאים זיו ומפיקים נוגה נעזיבם בכל העולם שמחים בצאתם וששים בבואם עושים בימה רצון קונם פאר וכבוד נותנים לשמו צהלה ורינה לזכר מלכותו קרא לשמש ויזרח אור ראה ויתקין צורת הלבנם שבח נותנים לו כל צבא מרום תפארת וגדולה שרפים ויופנים וחיות הקודש שבח נותנים לו כל צבא מרום תפארת וגדולה שרפים ויופנים וחיות הקודש. 109. $110. כולם אהובים, כולם ברורים, כולם גיבורים, וכולם עושים בימה אווירה רצון קונם, וכולם פותחים את פיהם בקדושה ובטהרה ושירה ובזמרה ומברכים ומשבחים ומפוארים ומעריצים ומקדישים וממליכים את שם האל המלך. כולם מקבלים עליהם עול מלכות שמיים זה מזה ונותנים רשות זה לזה להקדיש ליוצרם בנחת רוח בשפה ברורה ובנימה קדושה כולם כאחד עונים ואומרים ביראה קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות ולכל הארץ כבודו והאופנים וחיות הקודש ברעש גדול מתנסים ליומת שרפים ליומתם משבחים ואומרים ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו ליל ברוך נבוא תיתן על המלך אל חי וקיים זמירת ימינו וזה שבועות ישמיעו אור חדש על ציון תאיר, אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה ליורו, Bechera le'oro Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot. 111. Ahava rabavtanu Adonai Eloheinu Chemla gedola v'teira Chamalta aleinu Avinu Malkeinu Ba'avur avoteinu Shebatchu Vecha Avinu Malkeinu ותלמדם חוקי חיים, כן תכוננו תלמדנו, אבינו ורחמן, המרחם מרחם עלינו, ותן בליבנו להבין ולהשכיל לשמוע, ללמוד וללמד, לשמור ולעשות ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה ויראינו בתורתך ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך ויחיד לבנו אבינו לשלום ירבע כנפות הארץ ותוליכנו קוממיות לארצנו כפועל ישועות אתה ובנו בחרת מכל עם ולשון וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע באמת להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך והיה Adonai Elohechem emet, v'yatziv v'nachon v'kayam v'yashar v'neman v'yahu v'chaviv v'nechmad v'na'im v'nora v'yadir u'mtukan u'mkubal v'tohu v'yafeh. לדור ודור הוא קיים ושמו קיים וחיסון אחון ומלכותו ואמונתו לעד קיימת. תודה לכם. הצילנו יעולם שמך, אין אלוהים זולתך. 114, עשרת אבותינו וטהור, יעולם מגן משה לבן המחרים בכל דור ודור. We're at the bottom of page 114, preparing for the Amidah. After we conclude the blessing in Ga'al Yisrael at the bottom of the page, we will offer our silent prayers. When each person is finished with their own personal prayers, please take your seat and remain silent on behalf of anybody else who is still continuing to offer their prayers. And we'll continue after everyone takes their seat. Please rise, 114. תהילות ליל עליון ברוך ומבורך, משה ומרים ובני ישראל הכנו שירה, בשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילותו ספר. שירה חדשה, שילחו גאולים לשמך, על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו, ויאמרו, אדוני מלך לעולם ועד, צור ישראל, ומעזרת ישראל, ופתח Yehuda Israel, go aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo, Gidol Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael. 115b, the Amidah of the congregation. Please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu V'imoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Chazdei Avot Ve'imahot U'Mevi Goel Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo B'Yahava Melech Ozer U'Foked U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham U'Foked Sarah Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayim Eitim Ata Rav Le'Hoshia Mashiv Haruach U'Morid Hagashem Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed Mechayim Eitim Chamim Rabim Somech Noflim Berofei Cholim U'Matir Asurim U'Mekayim Emunato Lishenei Afar Micha Mocha Bal Gevurot Umidom Melach Melech Meimit Umechayem Umatzmiach Yeshua V'nehemanat Alei Achayot Meitim Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei HaMeitim נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום ככתוב על יד נביאך וקרא זה אל זה ואמר קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוך כל הארץ כבודו אז בכל רעש גדול, אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מתנשאים לעומת שרפים, לעומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. ממקומך מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו כי מחכים אנחנו לך מתי תמלוך בציון בקרוב בימינו לעולם ועד תשכון תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך לדור ודור ולנצח נצחים ועינינו תראנה ועינינו תראנה מלכותך מלכותך כדבר האמור בשירי עוזך על ידי דוד משיח צדקך ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהי ציון לדור ודור הללויה לדור ודור נגיד גודלך ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש ושיבך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש ישמח משה במתנת חלקו כי עבד נאמן קראת לו כליל תפארת בראשו נתת ביעמדו לפניך על הר סיני ושני לוחות אבנים הוריד בידו וכתוב בהם שמירת שבת וכן כתוב בתורתך ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש ולא נתתו אדוני אלוהינו לגויי הארצות ולא הנחתו מלכנו לעובדי פסילים וגם במנוחתו לא ישכנו ערלים כי לישראל עמך נתתו באהבה לזרע יעקב אשר בם בחרת עמי קדשי שבי כולם יספעו ויתענגו מטובך והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו חמדת ימים אותו קראת זכר למעשה וראשית חמדת ימים אותו קראת זכר למעשה וראשית אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו רצה ומנוחתנו קדשנו במצוותיך ותן חלקנו בתורתך סבנו מטובך ושמחנו בישועתך וטהר ליבנו לעובדך באמת וינחילנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה ורצון שבת קודשך ינוחו בו ישראל מקדשי שמך ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת רצה אדוני אלוהינו בעמך ישראל ובתפילתם וישב את העבודה לדביר ביתך ואישי ישראל ותפילתם באהבתך ברצון ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל עמך ותחזינו עינינו בשובך לציון ברחמים ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר שכינתו לציון מודים אנחנו לך שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד צור חיינו מגן אישנו אתה הוא לדור ודור נודה לך ונספר תהילתך על חיינו המסורים בידיך ועל נשמותינו הפקודות לך ועל ניסיך שבכל יום עמנו ועל נפלאותיך וטובותיך שבכל עת ערב ובוקר וצהריים הטוב כי לא כל רחמך והמרחם כי לא תמוך חסדיך מעולם קיווינו לך ועל כולם יתברך ויתרומם שמך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד וכל החיים יודו ירדוך סלע ויהללו את שמך באמת אל ישועתנו ועזרתנו סלע ברוך אתה אדוני הטוב שמך ולחנה אל ההודות אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ברכנו הברכה המשולשת בתורה הכתובה על ידי משה עבדך האמורה מפי אהרון ובניו כהנים עם קדושך כאמור יברכך אדוני וישמרך יאיר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונקה יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום שים שלום שים שלום טובה וברכה בעולם שים שלום טובה וברכה חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך ברכנו אבינו כולנו כאחד באור פניך שים שלום שים שלום טובה וברכה בעולם שים שלום טובה וברכה כי באור פניך נתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו תורת חיים ואהבת חסד וצדקה וברכה ורחמים וחיים ושלום שים שלום שים שלום טובה וברכה בעולם שים שלום טובה וברכה וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום 138 יתקדש ויתקדש שמי רבה ויעמד יברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי וחייכון ויומכון וחי לכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעולם מיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודש יבריחו ילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירם בעלמא ואמרו אמן תתקבל צלותון ובלתון לכל ישראל קודם אברהם וישמעיה ואמרו אמן יש להם רבה מן שמעיה וחיים עליהם ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן 139 the Torah Service person honored with carrying the second Torah please come forward אין כמוך באלוהים אדוני ואין כמעשיך מלכותך מלכות כל העולמים וממשלתך בכל דור ודור אדוני מלך אדוני מלך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום הרחמים היטיב ברצונך את ציון תבנה חומות ירושלים תבנה חומות ירושלים כי בך Vayomer Moshe Kumar Adonai 140. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Mema Shemo Yachtav Adonai Hagidula Ve'Hagivura Ve'Atiferet Ve'Haneitza Ve'Haod Ki Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. You may be seated. Shabbat Shalom to everyone. As you can see, we have two Torah scrolls to read from today. First Torah scroll is our weekly Torah portion, Parashat Shmini. And the second Torah reading, the Torah scroll, the reading will be from the reading about our purification of ourselves and getting ready for Pesach. This is Shabbat Parah. Right, it's kind of a Chinese influence, the Sabbath of the cow, something like that. Where are we? Who are our Gabayim?
Page
1.
630. Torah reading begins at 6:30.
Yep.
And if you wish, you can take your aliyah by standing here at this lectern. We have the brachot, we have the Torah reading.
Hakol Haluga Del Eloheinu Nu Chazot LaTorah Nalamot
Aaron ben Shmuel HaKohen L'Chayesor.
Laliyah Aleph Baruch Shenatan Torah Le'amo Yisrael Mikdu Shatahu.
Atem adekim Adonai Elohechem, Chayim Kulchem
Yetem
Hayom.
Hadekim Adonai Elohechem, Chayim Kulchem Hayom.
Baruchu es Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Mevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'notan lanu es Torah. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayhi bayom hashemini kara Moshe leHaron ulevanav uleziknei Yisrael vayomer el Haron haklecha egel ben bakar lechatat ve'ayo leola tamimim ve'akrev lifnei Adonai ve'bnei Yisrael tedaber lemor kechu se'uizim lechatat ve'egel v'acheves bnei shana tamimim leola v'sher va'ayo lishlamim lizbach lifnei Adonai mincha b'lilah v'shamen ki hayom Adonai nira alechem v'ayik Eight asher tzivah Moshe Epnei El Moed Vayikrevu Kol Ha'eda Vayamdu Lifnei Adonai Vayomer Moshe Zeh Hadavar Asher tzivah Adonai Tasu V'yera Alechem Kevod Adonai Vayomer Moshe LaHaron Kravel HaMizbeach Va'asei Echatatecha V'et Olatecha V'chaper Ba'adecha Uve'ad Ha'am Va'asei Et Korban Ha'am V'chaper Ba'adam Ka'asher tzivah Adonai Vayikra V'Haron HaMizbeach Vayishcha et egel hachatat asher lo v'akrivu b'nei Aaron et Adam elav v'yipol etzba'ot v'adam v'yitein al karnot hamizbeach et Adam yatzach v'yesod hamizbeach v'tachelev v'takelayot v'tayoter min hakaved min hachatat hiktir hamizbecha ka'asher tzivah Adonai Moshe v'tabasar v'taor saraf ba'esh michut ha'machaneh v'yishchar et ha'olah v'yamtziyu b'nei Aaron elav et Adam v'yizrakehu al hamizbeach saviv et ha'olah Himsiu elav nitacha v'et harosh v'yakter hamizbeach v'yirchatz et hakerev et hakra'im v'yakter ha'olah hamizbecha v'yakrev et korban ha'am v'yikach et zir hachatat asher la'am v'yishchatehu v'yichateu karishon v'yakrev et ha'olah v'yaseha kamishpat.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher notan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam notav v'chokenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
First Aliyah takes us into, as the subtitle of our commentary points out on page 630, the first celebration of sacrifice. So let's take that to heart for a second. Of course, sacrifice has been mentioned in the Torah since almost day one. We have sacrifices brought all the way back by the children of Adam and Eve. Noah brings sacrifices, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob bring sacrifices. So sacrifices have been a continuous feature of our awareness, our history, our practice, the local practice all around. Sacrifices are a given in this moment in this area of the world. But this is, of course, a very special moment. Think of the first time we opened our sanctuary after 2 years of COVID. The excitement here is that we have a tabernacle that never existed before. The Jewish people that never existed before come out of Egypt, they come to Mount Sinai, they get the Torah, and then they get instructions, okay, build me a sanctuary so that I can dwell among you. And they do. And this marks a beginning, and it also marks an end. Because until now, whatever has been happening to us as a people, we've been growing to become a people, and we've, experienced bondage, for instance, for generations as a people, and yet somehow we kept our identity, we kept the story going. That's one of the important points of Pesach, which is coming up pretty soon, in case you haven't noticed. That's one of the reasons this is Shabbat Parah. We're getting ready for Pesach. It's 3 weeks away. To keep the story going. Who has been keeping the story going? Who has been keeping the people going? We focus on Moses. Now we're going to have Aaron as the priest who has a special function to perform on behalf of the community. But did they come out of nowhere? Did the Jewish people come out of nowhere? So in the very first verse We have on the 8th day, Moses called Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel. Now the note says, elders of Israel. The elders, Kenim, represented the people. But they did more than represent the people. For generations, that's what elders represent. Elders represent the generational continuity of our existence as a community and as a people. The elders have been keeping us together by telling us the stories, by telling us what choices we should make, by passing on wisdom, by warning us, by inspiring us. Elders have been active in our communal, national life as long as we could, and beyond, as long as we can remember that we were a people. But this moment is a moment, in a certain sense, of the end of the era of the elders. Because now so much of the serious, determinative features of Jewish life have been and are being, as we speak, transferred to other people, to other groups. Moses has taken on a leadership role, and it's about, it's only a couple of years, right? It's not 4-year term yet, it's not even over yet. That he has been the leader of the Jewish people. The elders have not really played a role in leading the people out of Egypt, in leading the people in song. Who lead? We just had it before. Az Yashir Moshe, Bnei Israel, Vatikach, Miriam, Hanaviyah. Moses and Miriam lead the people in song. The elders, maybe they didn't even show up that night because it was too noisy for them to show up. Well, guess what? It's important to show up. So the elders are showing up here, but not only are they representing the people, they are representing the transfer of power and the transfer of authority. They are handing off so much of their own significant position in the community to another generation. And as we will see, this generational transition is not going to be as smooth as we would have liked.
The second aliyah is found on page 632, verse 17.
Ilan ben Shmeriyahu, Alevi Bakan. Baruch et Adonai Hamborah. Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Vayakre v'kamincha vayamalei hapo mimena vayakter al hamizbeach milevado at haboker vayishchad et asher v'ta'ayil zevach hashulamim ashel am vayamsiu b'nei Aharon et adam elav vayizrukehu al hamizbeach saviv v'takalavim min ashur umin ha'ayil ha'alya v'hamekaseh v'hakalayot yoter et hakaved vayasimu et hakalavim al hachazot vayakter hakalavim hamizbecha v'hachazot v'yitzchok hayamin heni v'Aharon tinufalif me'Adonai Asher tziva Moshe vayisa Aharon et yadav el ha'am vayavarachem vayered mesot hachatat v'haolah v'hashulamim vayavo Moshe v'Aharon el ha'mawed vayetzeu vayavarachu et ha'am vayirachevod Adonai el kol ha'am.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata batachenu Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah. Amen.
So this aliyah continues describing the very first time that Aaron and his sons have offered sacrifices on behalf of the children of Israel. And this is a public display, and everybody is watching this newbie, this new person who's taking over the sacrificial rites. Until now, it's always been Moses. And he's going through each and every sacrifice. And Moses had promised that when this ceremony is performed, we remember it because we just read it, verse 6, back in chapter 9, page 630. This is what the Lord has commanded that you do. The presence of the Lord will appear to you. So everything gets done just as prescribed. And no presence of the Lord. It doesn't happen. Right? At the very first premiere performance of the sacrificial ceremony, the promise that Moses has made, he's gone out on a limb. He says, this is going to be awesome. You're going to really feel that God is responding to what we're doing here. And it's not there. So if anybody has experience in the theater or experience watching depictions of theater life, somebody has missed their cue. I don't want to say who, but something has gone awry, and now what do? You got to fill in some stage business here. The enter stage left persona, whose name cannot be pronounced, hasn't done that. So how do you make things keep on going? So what happened? How did we make things keep on going? We. Blessings. Aaron turns around and blesses the people. You can look through all the pages before, and there are minute instructions about how to do this ceremony that we have read already. There is nothing in the script that says, and then after you do the sacrifice, turn around and bless the people. It's not there. This is improv. This is Aaron on the spot figuring out something new to do. Then Moses gets inspired and he joins with Aaron to bless the people. And then guess what? Late entrance by that unnamed persona that I referred to before. Finally, God's presence appears. So what we have here can be understood and thought about in so many ways. First of all, one thing that occurs to me is how prescient that process of trying to figure out how to make do. God is not immediately manifest. How prescient that act has been in the history of our religion, in the history of our spiritual practice. We make blessings all the time. God is no longer obviously around us, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know. God is not booming out of the heavens telling us instructions about how to deal with everyday life or with crises that we have to face. How do we go from day to day hoping for God? Ki mechakim anachnu lach. We just recited that in the Kedusha for Shacharit. We wait for you, God. We're holding out for you. How do we buy the time? We make blessings. Aaron teaches us. That's what we need to do. So that's one thing that I think we can take from here. Going backwards, not forwards, but going backwards is another amazing thing about this particular story. Aaron is the guy who was put in charge when Moses disappeared up Mount Sinai to get the Torah. 40 days Moses isn't around. Not 4 minutes of delay by God's presence or something like that. 40 days he's gone, and the people of Israel panic, and they come crushing around Aaron, and they say, quick, we need something. We need a God. There is no God here. And they push him. He doesn't know how to deal with it. They push him to create a golden calf. What a disaster, what a catastrophe, what a tragedy. This is Aaron, one more time, being put under extreme pressure he has to respond. He has to improvise one more time. His improvisation back then was a huge mistake. Everything that he is doing, I talked about this a little bit on Yom Kippur, everything that he is doing is part of his tikkun, is part of his repair for that stumbling that he himself was part of when he was put under that unprecedented pressure. Here he is again, and this time he comes through. What a blessing his blessing was.
The third aliyah is on page 632, verse 24.
Alamosh,
Ephraim ben Avraham Esara.
Lalia Gimel,
Baruch hu Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Mevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Melech Haolam Asher Natan Bachar Banu Mechol Ha'olamim Natan Lanu Et Torato Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Vateit eish milif Adonai batocho hamizbech etola v'techalavim vayar kol am vayaronu vaypalua panehem vayklu v'nei Aaron nadav avihu ishmach tato vaytenu vahen eish vayasimor lahaktoret vayakrivu lifnei Adonai eish zalra asher lo tziva otam vateit eish milif Adonai batocho otam vayamutu lifnei Adonai vayamoshe Aaron hu Asher diber Adonai lemor bikrovai ekaddish v'panei kol ha'am ekaved v'yidom Aharon v'yikra Moshe Mishael v'el el Safan b'nei Uziel dod Aharon v'yomer alehem kirvu siutachechem pnei hakodesh hamichutz hamachane v'yikrevu v'yisayum b'chutonotam hamichutz hamachane kasher diber Moshe v'yomer Moshe l'Aaron Lazar v'tamar banav rashechem al tifrau uvidechem lo tifromu v'lo tamutu v'al kol haida iksof v'achechem kol beit Yisrael yivkud hasarefa asher saraf Adonai mipetach Ahamoed lo tetzeu pentamutu ki shemen mishchat Adonai alechem vayasu ki devar Moshe vaydaber Adonai el Aharon lemor yain v'sheichar al teish ata v'nachaitach v'voachem el hamoed v'lo tamutu hukat olam l'dvortechem ulhavdil ben hakadosh uvein hachol uvein hatamei uvein hatahor ulhorot epnei Yisrael Ekol hachukim asher diber Adonai alechem beyad Moshe.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chei olam natan b'chotenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
So this aliyah is the moment in our story that so many people remember and have struggled with. What should have been a wonderful, happy ending, Aaron, Moses blessing the people, God's presence is manifest to all of the people. What a way to end the day. But instead, we have this mysterious and tragic story of two of Aaron's sons, Nadav and Avihu, rushing into this sanctuary, as God said not to, and they do it anyway, and they go in and they offer a strange fire, whatever that means, and they perish in the sanctuary, and they have to be hauled out by some of their cousins to be taken out of this sacred spot, which cannot endure human death in any way. So people have been scratching their heads and getting upset and depressed and angry and every kind of range of emotion that you can imagine in thinking about this story and considering the story. What could possibly have happened? What could have been so terrible? I spoke about it again, like as I say, a little bit on Yom Kippur. I've spoken about it many times before. The high voltage aspect of the holiness of the sanctuary is something that we no longer have a feeling for. We don't think about the possibility that holiness may actually be a potent force, like electricity, like fire, like so many things that can be wonderful and useful and contribute to our lives, but if we misuse it, it can be disastrous. It can be deadly. Don't stick your wet finger into the socket. So this is part of what the Torah seems to be presenting. The manifest presence of God that we celebrated with relief, just an aliyah. Oh wow, great! So God is finally there. Well, guess what? Don't take God so casually. Don't take God for granted. Holiness means also being super, super attentive to what must happen. And one of the things that we might speculate about, and I'm saying this as speculation because again, the story is there without an explicit explanation and unpacking of everything that's going on. But if we read the previous aliyot and paid attention, as I said, Aaron is doing this work for the first time in his life. And as we read it, we see that he is being assisted step by step by step by his sons. Every sacrifice that he does, he's the main operator, but he has assistants. You know, he's got like in an operating room, he's doing the operation, but there's a whole crew around him, and that crew is giving him, take the blood away here, give me the scalpel, blah, blah, blah. You know, and his sons are all, without mentioning names, they're all included in this helpful process, this helpful procedure. And now we have two of the sons who go off on their own. And one of the questions that we should ask ourselves is, what Nadav? What does Nadav mean? Nadav means the one who is so generous.
Yeah.
Avihu. What does that mean? It means God is my father.
Yeah.
Nadav, Avihu. Your father is doing a job. What do you think you need to do that your father is not doing? Let your father do your job, do his job. Somehow, tragically, Nadav and Avihu step in and say, we're going to do this. I mentioned before transitions. I mentioned before handing over power and status from one group to another and from one generation to another. So perhaps something is happening here where in the excitement of the moment, in the flush adrenaline rush that they have of, wow, here we are now machers. They actually misunderstand their place. And is it a sin that they get punished for? Or is it simply they make a tremendously terrible mistake and suffer the consequence? Some random thoughts, not to answer the question, not to put it to rest.
The fourth aliyah is on page 635, verse 12.
Nalama,
Again, that's not a reason of 100
Lalaya, Dalin,
Baruch Adonai Hambarak. Baruch Adonai Barak Le'olam Ba'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. וידבר משה אל אהרון ואל אלעזר ואל איתמר בניו הנותרים קחו את המנחה הנותרת מישי אדוני ואכלו המצות את המזבח היא קודש קודשים היא ואכלתם אותה במקום קדוש היא חוקך וחוק בניך היא מישי אדוני כי כן צוויתי ואת חזה התנופה ואת שוק התרומה תאכלו במקום טהור אתה ובניך ובנותיך איתך כי חוקך וחוק בניך נקנו מזבחי שמי בני ישראל שוק התרומה וחזה התנופה על אישי החלבים יביאו להניף תנופה לפני אדוני והיה לך ובניך איתך לחוק עולם כאשר ציווה אדוני.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chaye olam nasa b'tocheinu, Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
We'll pause now and offer our prayers for those who are ill. If you have a name to add to our printed list, please stand in your place. We'll go around the sanctuary and incorporate those names in our prayers as well.
מי שברך אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength to bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing and let us say Amen. מי שברך אמותינו מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב ואת אמותינו שרה רבקה רחל ולאה. יברך וירפא את כל החולים והנפגעים ויד.
John Lazarus, Jessup, Grossberg.
Brandon Curley.
Gil Felder.
כל החולים והנפגעים ובשאנחנו מתפללים בעבורם ובשכזה הקדוש ברוך הוא ישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מהשמיים, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף והמטפלים בהם. יברכם הקדוש ברוך הוא בבריאות ולב חוכמה ותבונה אהבה ועוצמה כדי שיטפלו בהם כראוי. הבא לעול יזמן קרוי ונאמר
Amen.
Pray that the Rabbanu Shalom grant the refuah shlema, complete and speedy recovery for all those who are suffering. May God bless their caregivers with good health and with hearts of wisdom and love and courage and strength to be able to do everything possible and everything necessary on their behalf. We say Amen.
Amen.
The fifth aliyah is found on page 635, verse 16.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Amen. Ve'et Sirachatat, Darosh Darash, Moshe V'nei Saraf, V'aitzov, Elazar V'aitamar B'nei Aharon, V'notarim Le'mor, Madua, Levachotem V'takatapim Koma Kodesh, Ki, Kodesh Kodeshim Ki, Ve'ota Natan Lachem, L'tzit Levon Haida, L'chaper Lehem Lifnei Adonai, Hein Lehuva Etama, L'kodesh P'nima, Achot Tochalu Ota, V'kodesh Kasher Tziveti, V'yidaber Aharon Moshe, Hein Hayom, Hikrivu, Et Chatatam B'tolatam Lifnei Adonai, V'tikvena Oti Ka'ela, Ve'achalti Chatat Hayom, Hayitav B'nei Adonai, V'yishma Moshe, V'yitav B'einav. Amen.
So this short aliyah is so full of pathos and the churning of emotions on the part of all of the players. Moses is concerned that he finds out that the ceremonial details of the day have not been followed through and done properly. And he's nervous and he's upset that of all times this first day and maybe even saying with all of what has already gone wrong, let's not mess this up completely and let's not let this fall apart. And he comes specifically to, as it says here, Elazar ve'Itamar bnei Aharon hanotarim. He was angry with Elazar and Itamar, Aaron's remaining sons. Right? 2 of the 4 sons had died, as we just talked about, and these are the 2 that are remaining. And now Moses chews them out and says, "Why are you not doing what has been commanded to us by God?" And we can fill in for ourselves what his concern might be. 2 more sons are not going to do what God has commanded. What's going on here? So he says, you're supposed to be doing this. Who, of course, is the boss of the priests? Aaron.
Yes.
He's not yelling at Aaron.
Right.
Aaron, the bereaved father. Who speaks up? Aaron. Aaron, there's all this, indirection going on. And Aaron then stands up to Moses and says, "Are you kidding? After what has happened today, would it really be good in God's eyes if we may believe that everything is just okay?" Earlier, the famous verses, the famous 2 words, Vayidom Aharon.
Yeah.
When Aaron sees what happens to his 2 sons who die, he's totally silent.
Yeah.
And now he speaks up and confronts Moses and says, "I don't think you're right here." And the next verse, Vayishma Moshe. Moses heard. Moses heard what was going on here. Moses heard what Aaron was saying. Vayitav b'einav. And it was good in his eyes. The translation we have here, he approved. But that, of course, is the same phrase as before. Would the Lord have approved? Vayitav b'einei Hashem, says Aaron. And then the Torah reports, Vayitav b'einav. Whose eyes? We can read it as he approved, small h. Or we can read it as he approved, capital H.
Yes.
The 6th aliyah is found on page 636, verse 1.
Eliyahu ben Avraham et Rachel. Baruch hu et Adonai HaBara. Baruch Adonai HaBarach Li'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam.
asher b'charbanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato Baruch atah Adonai nosein ha'Torah.
Amen. Vayidaber Adonai, and Moshe v'Aharon limor lehem daberu. Abnei Yisrael limor zot hachaya asher tochalu mikol behema asher la'aretz kol mafreset parsa v'shosha chesa parasot malak era behema otar tochelu achetze lo tochalu mimale hagera mafreset parsa et hagamal kimale gera hu ufarsa inenu mafris tamehu lachem v'hashafan kimale gera he who farsa lo yafris to make hulachem etarnevet kimalak erahi farsa lo he frisa maya hilachem etakazir kamafris parsa who v'shosha shesa parsa who gera lo igar kamei hulachem nimsaram lo tochelu nivlatam lo tigau meim heim lachem azet tochelu mikol asher b'mayim kol asher lo snapir bekas kesef b'mayim bayamim uvan chalim otam tochelu v'chol asher ein lo some people kesed by me move on a chalim mikol asher tzamaim mikol nefesh achaya asher b'mayim sheketz heim lachem sheketz hiyu lachem mibesaram lo tochelu nivlatam sheketzu kol asher ein lo some people kesed b'mayim sheketz hu lachem but ela te sheketzu mina of lo yachalu sheketz heim et anesher v'ta peres v'eta ozniya v'ta hada'a v'ta aya lemina et kol arev lemino v'et pat hayana v'ta tachmas v'ta shachaf v'ta neitz leminahu v'ta kos v'ta shalach v'ta hayan shuf v'ten shemet v'harakat v'ta rakam v'ta rakam v'ta kasidah nafal lemina v'ta duchi fat v'ta talev kol sheretz ha'of halech al arba sheketz hu lachem achetze lo techalu mikol sheretz et zet tochalu mikol sheretz ha'of halech al arba asher lo chor'an mimal raglav v'nater b'hein al aretz v'tel mehem tochelu v'tar ber lemino v'tal solam lemino v'tachagol leminehu v'tachagav leminehu v'chol sheretz ha'of asher lo arba raglaim sheketz hu lachem ul'elet itamau kol nogeh b'nivlatam yitmar ha'arev v'chol noseh b'nivlatam yichabetz b'gadav v'tamer ha'arev v'chol behema asher hi Mafreset parsa v'shesa inena shosat v'gera inena ma'ala tmeim heim lachem kol nogeh b'hem yitmah v'chol holecha kapav v'chol chaya ha'holechet al arba tmeim heim lachem kol nogeh b'nivlatam yitmar ha'arev v'noseh nivlatam yichabetz b'gadav v'tamer ha'arev tmeim heima lachem v'zeh lachem atamei v'asher Shacharit al aretz ha'cholev v'ha'achbar v'atzav l'minehu v'hanakav v'koch v'halataha v'echol mepatin shamet eile atmeim lachem v'chasharetz kol nogeh b'hem b'motam yitmar ha'arev v'chol asher yipol alav mehem b'motam yitmah mikol kli eitz o v'egedo or osak kol kli asher yaseh melacha b'hem b'mayim yuva v'tamei ad ha'erev v'taher.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher natan lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam natan b'sochenu Baruch atah Adonai nosein ha'Torah.
Amen.
So we opened up our Torah reading this Shabbat talking about the elders, and I was saying about how passé they are. But actually, this Shabbat, we're really happy to welcome you to the status of an elder. Happy birthday to Elliot. This is a big one, and we're delighted to be able to share the simcha with you. And Elliot's going to share some elderly words of
To paraphrase Yogi Berra, thank you for making today necessary. I'm very pleased to celebrate my 70th birthday here at Shomrei today. You know, when I moved to Montclair in June of 2019, I didn't know anyone, and I came to services one Shabbat, and people greeted me. I remember Arthur and Jerry Zinn came right up to me. They introduced themselves. They made me feel at home, and I sat at the Kaddish table with all the guys, and I met Rabbi Greenstein, who was, you know, he started asking me, well, did you find a place to live, this and that, and I felt at home. And since then, even with the pandemic, Shomrei has been a great source of social and spiritual connections for me. When I said I played guitar, I was asked to join the band, but I told them, you know, I don't read music, and they told me, oh, that won't be a problem, but it was. And then Merrill Silver was kind enough to take the time to record all the songs so that I could learn how to play them. When the pandemic started, I wanted to find other people interested in the Mets baseball team, and I formed a group that still meets remotely, and that's been a good source of companionship for me. Then I was invited to join the Romeos, which, if you don't know, stands for Retired Old Men Eating Out, which is a group of us. Well, now we meet at Watchung Plaza twice a week to socialize, and it's meant a lot to me to be able to make friends there. And I know some of you have come and supported me when I performed at the Cedar Beans coffee place. And while I didn't meet Sharon at Shomrei, we quickly incorporated it into our budding relationship by going to Kabbalat Shabbat services and other things. So Shomrei is a big part of my life now. I'm very thankful for it. And I want to thank Sharon for sponsoring the Kaddish, and Eileen and everyone who helped with the prep. So thank you all for coming to celebrate us, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shakoach. Shakoach.
We'll see you later.
Yeah.
What? The seventh Aliyah is found on page 641, verse 33.
Aliyah Zion.
Baruch Adonai Barak.
Baruch le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Barak le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher baruch avanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. V'chol kli chavetz asher yipol mehem atocho, kol asher b'tocho yitma b'tot yishbaru, mikol ha'ochel asher yachel, asher yavo alav, mayim yitma, v'chol mashke asher yishateh, v'chol kli yitma, v'chol asher yipol b'nivatam alav yitma, tanur v'chirayim, yutas tmeim hem, u'tmeim yiyu lachem, ach mayan uvor, mikvei mayim yeh tahor, v'negem nivatam yitma, v'chi yipol b'nivatam, akol zera zerua asher zerah tahor hu, v'chi Tamayim Azera, but Famini Batam Alav, Tamay Hulachem, Bechi Mutmin Habahima, Asher Hilachem, Lafla, and Ogamni Vata, Mara Arab, Elchamini Vata, Ichabes Begadav, Betamer Arab, and Ased Nivata, Ichabes Begadav, Betamer Arab, Chashet Asher Rachel Arach, Sheketsu, Lo Yachel, Kol. Kol lechagachon v'chol lechalaba al kol marbei raglaim lechasheretz hashoretz al aretz lo tochalum ki sheketz heim al sheketzu et nafshotechem lechasheretz hashoretz v'lo titamu bahem nitmetem bam ki ani Adonai Elohechem v'karishtem v'yitem kedoshim ki kedosh ani v'lo titamu nafshotechem lechasheretz harametz al aretz ki ani Adonai hamala etchem eretz Mitzrayim lehiyot lachem Elohim v'yitem kedoshim ki kadosh ani Zot Torah Habehema ve'ov v'chol nefesh hachaya haramasef b'mayim v'chol nefesh hashoretz al haaretz lehavdil bein hatamei uvein hatahor uvein hachaya hanechelet uvein hachaya asher lo teachel.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam atah v'tochem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Torah.
Kaddish.
Musaf.
Tushbechata v'nechemata davira ve'alma Yimru Amen.
Nalamot, Lahagba, Ugalilat, HaTorah.
Gaglila. Go. Take this. Maybe seated.
Maftir Aliyah is found on page 80, verse 1.
Nalamot, Aliyah, Hamaftira. Sorry. Yeah.
Got the spot? Baruch Hu Adonai Habarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. Natan lanu et Torah. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Vayedaber Adonai al Moshe v'Aaron lemor. Zot chukat haTorah asher tziva Adonai lemor. Daber bnei Israel v'chu elecha para aduma tamima asher ein ba mum asher lo ala aleha ol untatem ota Elazar hakohen v'hotzi ota amichutz hamachane v'shachat ota lefanav v'lakach Elazar hakohen midama bet pa'o v'hiza al nochach pnei hamoed midama sheva pamim Pesarah etapara leinav etorah epesarah etama apisha yisrof lekach hakohen etz erez ve'zabushni tolat v'hishlich atoch zrefat hapara v'chibes begadav hakohen v'rachas pesarah b'mayim v'achar yavor lamachane v'tamei hakohen at ha'arev v'asaref ota yichabes begadav b'mayim v'rachas pesarah b'mayim v'tamei at ha'arev v'asaf ishtahor et efer hapara v'hiniach michutz lamachane b'makom tahor Hayata, Adat Bnei Israel, Mishmeret, Leminidach, Atati, Vechibes, Haosef, Petefer, Hapara, Pegadav, Tamer, Arab, Hayata, Libnei Israel, Vilager, Hagar, Petrocham, Lukat Olam, Anogev, Amed, Lechon Nefesh Adam, Vitamesh, Ivat Yamim, Hui Chatavo, Vayom Hashalishi, Vayom Hashavi, Itar, Im Lo Yichata, Vayom Hashalishi, Vayom Hashavi, Lo Yitar, Konogea, V'meit V'nefesh, Adam Asher Yamut V'lo Yichata, At Mishkan Adonai Timei, V'nichreta, Anefesh Hahi, Yisrael, Ki, Menida, Lozorak Alav Tamei, Yiyeh, O Timatovo, Zot HaTorah, Adam Ki Yamut Be'ohel, Kol Haba Ela Ohel V'chol Asher Ba'ohel, Yitma Shivat Yamim, V'chol Klifa Tuach Asher, in Tamim Patil Alav, Tamehu, V'chol Asher Yiga, Apnei Asadeh, V'chol Ocherev of V'meit, of Etzem Adam of V'kaver, Yitma Shivat Yamim, V'akechula Tamei, Nerfar Serefat Hachatat, Natan Alav, Maim Chayim El Keli, V'kach Ezov, V'tava B'mayim, Ish Tahor, V'hiza Ala Ol V'kol Kelim, V'hanafashot Asher Hayusham, V'hanogea, V'etzem O V'chalal, V'meit of V'kaver, V'hiza Hatachor Ahatamei, V'yom Hashalishi, V'yom Hashavi'i, V'chita'o, V'yom Hashavi'i, V'chibes V'gadav, V'rachas B'mayim, V'teher Ba'arv, V'shasherit ma v'lo yichata v'nichvita anefesh hahi mitoch hakaha ki emikdash Adonai timei meinida lozorak alav tamehu v'hayita lahem l'chukat olam umazei meinida yechabes b'gadav v'hanogeh b'mei hanida yitma ad ha'arev v'chol asher yigabo hatamei yitma v'hanefesh hanogaat titma ad ha'arev.
Alama Bahagba Ujulila Hatara Sheni.
Bring it over the lip, down, and then push down. And then
Torah Asher Moshe Neheh Yisrael
Moshe Torah, 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 Torah,
Siva Lanu Moshe
The big letters.
Maybe seated.
That's a siddur. We'll ask that. It will help.
Do you have the larger print? I don't have it.
It's not under here.
Not under there.
Sure, it's there.
You think?
Right here.
There it
Is
is.
that it?
I couldn't
Yeah.
find it, yeah.
Terrific. We're in business. Let me find it first.
This is our para for Shabbat para.
Shkalim. Business.
After
Yeah.
Shkalim.
Zachar. I'm getting it. Oh, I had it the whole time. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza b'divreihem hanemorim be'emes. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Vayihi dvar Adonai Elai lemor Ben Adam Beis Yisrael Yoshvim al Admasam Vayitamu Osah V'darkam Uv'le'alilosam Kitum As Hanida Vaysodarkam Lifanai Esh Vashva Chamosi Alehem Al Adam Asher Shafchu Al Haaretz Uv'gililu Lahem Tim Uha Va'afiz osam bagoyim vayizoru ba'aratzos v'kedarkam uchalilotam u'shifatatim vayavo el hagoyim asher ba'u sham vayichalalu eshem kodshi ve'emor lohem am Adonai ele bi'artso yotza'u Echmol al Shem Kodshi Asher Chiluhu Beis Yisrael Bagoyim Asher Ba'u Shama Lachen Emor Livnei Yisrael Ko Amar Adonai Elohim Lo Lamanchem Ani Oseh Beis Yisrael Ki Im l'shem koshi asher chilaltem bagoyim asher botem sham v'kidashti eshmi hagadol amchulol bagoyim asher chilaltem v'esocham yodu hagoyim ki ani Adonai neum Adonai Elohim b'chodshi bachem li'eineihem v'lokachti eschem min hagoyim v'kibatzti eschem mikol ha'aratzot והבאתי אתכם אל אדמתכם, וזרקתי עליכם מים טהורים, וטהרתם מכל תמוסיכם, מכל גלוליכם אטהר אתכם. נשאתי לכם לב חדש, רוח חדשה אתן בקרבכם, והסירתי את לב האבן מבשרכם, נשאתי לכם לב בשר, ורוחי אתן בקרבכם, יעשיתי את אשר בחוקי תלכו, ומשפטי תשמרו ועשיתם. וישבתם בארץ אשר נשאתי לאבותיכם, והייתם לי לעם, ואנוכי אהיה לכם לאלוהים, והושעתי אתכם מכל תמוסיכם, וקראתי אל הדגן, והרביתי עושו, לא אתן עליכם רעב. וראיתי את פרי העץ ותנובת השדה, למען אשר לא תיקחו עוד חרפת רעב בגויים, וזכרתם את דרכיכם הרעים, ומעלליכם אשר לא טובים, ונקוטו שם בפניכם על עוונותיכם, ועל תועבותיכם. לא למענכם אני עושה נאום אדוני אלוהים, בוודא לכם בושו וחלמו מדרכיכם בית ישראל. כה אמר אדוני אלוהים, ביום תהרה אתכם מכל עוונותיכם, והושבתי אל הערים, ונבנו החרבות, והארץ הנשמה תעבד תחת אשר הויסה שממה לעיני כל עובר, ויאמרו הארץ הלזו הנשמה, והויסה כגן עדן, וההרים החרבות הנשמות והנהרסות בצורות ישבו. יודו הגויים אשר ישרו סביבותיכם, כי אני אדוני בניתי הנהרסות, נתתי הנשמה, אני אדוני דיברתי ועשיתי. כה אמר אדוני אלוהים, עוד זאת ידרש לבית ישראל לעשות לכם, הרבה עושם כצאן אדם, כצאן קדשים, כצאן ירושלים, במועדך כן תחיינה ההרים החרבות, מלאות צאן אדם, וידעו כי אני אדוני. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן המבשר, המנבא ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, הנאמרים בדבריך, ודבר אחד מדבריך אכו לא ישוב ריקם. כי אל מלך נאמן ורחמן אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הנאמן בכל הדבריו. רחם הציון כי בית חיינו, לעלובת נפש תושיע במהרה בימינו, ברוך אתה אדוני, משמח ציון בבניה. Samcheinu Adonai Eloheinu V'Eliyahu Hanavi Avdecha B'Malchus Beis David V'Shichecha V'Mhera Yavo V'Yagel Libenu Al Kiso Lo Yeshev Zah V'Lo Yidchalu Od Acherim Et Kvodo Ki B'Shem Kodesh Nishmato Lo Shelo Yichber Neirov L'Olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Magen David Al HaTorah Yal HaAvodah Yal HaNvi'im Al Yom HaShabbos Hazeh Shenasato Lanu Adonai Eloheinu L'Kedusha L'Menucha L'Kavod U'Tiferes Al HaKol Adonai Eloheinu Nachnu modim lach umvorchim osach yisbarach shimcha befi kol chai tamid liolam va'ed baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Those who are honored with offering our prayers for our country and for the state of Israel, please rise and from your seats. That's fine. From your places. Page 148, 149. Okay, so we're gonna, in the interest of time, Harachaman v'yivarech et ha'aretz hazot v'yishmor aleha. May the merciful one bless this country and take very good care of it. To the state of Israel, Harachaman yivarech et medinat Yisrael shetehei reshit tzmichat geulatenu. May the merciful bless the state of Israel so that one day it may become the dawn of our redemption. Now, in the middle of page 149, let's offer together a prayer for peace that is so sorely needed this very moment. Let's join together. May we see the day when war and bloodshed cease, when a great peace will embrace the whole world. Then nation will not threaten nation, mankind will not again know war. For all who live on earth shall realize we have not come into being to hate, to destroy. We have come into being to praise, to labor, and to love. Compassionate God, let's lead all nations with our compassion. Fulfill the promise of David's scripture. I will give peace to the land, and you shall lie down, and no more shall terrify you. I will rid the land of its disease, and shall not terrify you. Let justice flow like the mighty streams. Let peace fill the earth as the waters fill the sea. Let us say, Amen. Turn now to page 150. Please stay standing. We have somebody honored with holding Torah. Good. Hold that Torah then, please. We have Birkat HaChodesh, page 150. We are blessing the new month of Nisan, which will begin this coming Shabbat, Yom Shabbat Kodesh.
Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu Ve'Elohei Avotenu Shetchadesh aleinu et hachodesh hazeh l'tova ve'livracha Ve'titen lanu chayim arukim Chayim shel shalom, chayim shel tova, chayim shel bracha, chayim shel parnasa, chayim shel chilutz atzamot, chayim sheyesh bahem yirat shamayim v'yirat chet, Chayim she'en bahem busha uchlima, Chayim shel osher v'chavod, Chayim she'tevanu, Ahavat Torah v'yirat shamayim, Chayim shimalu mishalot libenu, libenu l'tova, Chayim shimalu mishalot libenu, libenu l'tova. Amen. Selah. Misha asanisim lavotenu, vigalotam le'abdu l'cherut, hu yigalotanu b'karov, v'kabetz nidachenu me'arba kanfot haaretz, Chaverim Kol Yisrael V'nomar Amen. Rosh Chodesh Nisan Yihiyeh Bayom Shabbat HaKodesh Haba Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael L'tova. Yichad Shehu HaKadosh Baruch Hu Aleinu V'al Kol Amo Beit Yisrael L'chaim u'l'shalom L'sason u'l'simcha L'yishua u'nechama V'nomar Amen.
May be seated for a half a minute. Page 151.
Tihilad Adonai Yudaber Pihi Vivarech Kol Basar Shen Kodshol Yolam Vaed V'anachnu Nivarech Ya Me'ata V'ad Olam Hallelujah. Ya Hallelujah et Shem Adonai Ki Niskav Shemo Levado
Odo Haaretz V'Shamayim. Everybody for her. Yamot Hila Lechol Hasidam Livnei Yisrael Amkero.
Adonai Lama Uliyah Shavayeshev Adonai Melech Leolam Adonai Ozna Hoyitech Adonai Unucha Yomar.
Let's put the coloring first on the right. On the right. There you go. Musaf, page 155 for the half Kaddish, and then we begin as a community on page 156b through 157, the Kedusha, and then the rest of the Amidah we recite silently individually.
Yitgadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbi v'madi brachi rutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechonu v'yamichonu v'chayei duchal beit Yisrael b'galav v'zman kariv v'meru Amen Yehei shmei Rabbi mevarach yolam liyomei yomaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach yitbar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'richu leilam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram b'yamad v'meru Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei HaKol v'Zocher Chastei Avot Umevi Goel Ibnei V'neihem Leman Shemo B'Yahava Melech Ozer Ufokedu Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ufoked Sarah Atah Gibor Li'olam Adonai Milchayei Meitim Atarav Lahoshia Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem Milchokel Chaim B'Chesed Milchayei Meitim B'Rachamim Rabim Sohomech Noflim B'Rofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Ba'al Givurot Umido Melach Melech Memid Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman Atal HaChayot Meitim Baruch Atah Adonai V'chayei HaMeitim Naritzecha V'nakdishcha Kisot Tziach Sarvei Kodesh Hamakdishim Shimcha B'Kodesh Kakatu Al Yad Nevi'echa V'kara Zel Zel V'yamar Kadosh 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 Adonai Tzot Melech Kol Haaretz Kivodo Kivodo Malei Olam Mishartav Shoalim Zelazeh Aye Mikom Kivodo Yimatam Baruch Yomeru Baruch Kivod Adonai Mimkomo Hu Yifen Berachamim V'yachonam Hamyachadim Shemo Erev Avoker B'chol Yom Tamid Hamayim B'yahava Shema Omrim Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Hu Eloheinu Hu Avinu Hu Malkeinu Hu Moshienu Vehu Yashmienu Berachamav Sheni Li'enei Kol Chai Vehu Yashmienu Berachamav Sheni Li'enei Kol Chai Li'od Lachem Le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem U'divrei Kodshecha Katuhu Lemor Yimol Adonai Le'olam Elohai Etzion Ledor Vador Hallelujah Ledor Vador Ledor Vador Ledor Vador Nagi God Lecha Ledor Vador Ledor Vador Ledor Vador Nagi God Lecha Shachanatish, V'shifachat Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush le'olam va'ed. L'dor vador, nagi God lecha. L'dor vador, nagi God lecha. Hi melech gadol, gadol v'kadosh ata. Hi melech gadol, gadol v'kadosh ata. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Yitgadal v'yikadash Shomrei Rabbi b'yamad yibrach rutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechonu v'yamechonu v'chayed l'chol Beit Yisrael b'galav v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi Shomrei Rabbi mevarach v'yolam l'yomei yomaya Yitbarach v'shabach v'yitbar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yadar v'yalev v'yalal Shmei l'kudishah v'leila min kol berchata v'shirata tishbuchata v'nechemata damiram b'yamad v'imru amen. Titkabal tzotonu v'aton d'chol Yisrael kadam v'hondi v'shmaya v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav Yahaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Ein keloheinu, ein kadonenu, ein kimalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shektiru, Avotenu, Lefanecha Ketoret Hasamim.
Please rise, 183.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kogei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot hadama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gohor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'yanav yukorim, u'mishtachavim u'motim, l'ifnei melech, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai imloch liolam va'ed v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
These are the yard sites we observe this week in our community. Cecile Friedman, Minnie Hanwerger, Robert Klein, Rose Black, Benjamin Lazev, Sidney Rappel, Harold Meltzer, Jack Ravitz, Frank Rothenberg, Pauline Sadowski, Charlotte Pearl Salzberg. Yehi Zechram Baruch. May the memories be a source of blessing for us. Mourner's Kaddish, page 184.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shomrei Rabbi.
Amen.
V'yamad divrach Yerutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechonu v'yomechonu v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala u'bizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehei Shomrei Rabbi mevarach v'yolam v'yomayim. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseg, v'yithadar v'yithalev v'yithalal Shmei d'kudisha b'ruchu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, tamiran b'yama v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Miriam making the announcement.
Shabbat Shalom. Good to see everyone here. So Elliot, is actually today your birthday? Monday. Oh, because... Yeah, we'll have to have a do-over, right? No, because I remember many years ago when we were on a trip to Israel, Sharon, you made the comment that if you have a certain number of people in the room, do you remember that? You have at least 2 people with a birthday, and today's actually my daughter's birthday. She's 30 years old. Oh, my God. So anyhow, quickly, thank you to Sharon, thank you Rabbi, Andy, Merrill, everyone who helped on the services, Gail. There's too many people to mention that make this day so possible. And just a couple quick announcements. April's coming, it's a big day, month for all of us. We have a climate change program on Sunday, April 3rd. Later that day, early evening, we're doing a family movie night. There's the Women's Seder on April 10th. There's At Nourish on April 5th with Joshua Prager, who wrote the book The Family Row. So just pick up one of these. It has a lot of the announcements. There's Sunday Minyan tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'm sorry. Oh, yes. I think they just walked out. But yes, next Shabbat is the Delaney Bar Mitzvah. So a lot's going on. So either check Shomrei Week or check this little brochure. And
Emergency class tomorrow.
there's an emergency class tomorrow. Please, if you haven't signed up, please come. A lot of work went into having that presented, and a lot of you asked to have that. So lots of things going on, more than I can even remember. So again, Shabbat Shalom.
187.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemoni Cry La 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 V'yacharei Kiflot V'yacharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora vehu haya vehu hoveh vehu yiyeh v'tifarai la 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 Vehu echad v'yein sheni lahamshir lo lahachbira b'li reshit b'li tachlit v'lo haoz v'hamisrai la 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 Vehu Eli V'chai Goali V'tzor Chevli B'yetzara Vehu Nisi Umanos Li Menakosi V'yom Ekrai La 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 Biyado afkid ruchi biyeti shan v'ya'ira v'im ruchi geviyati Adonai li v'lo ira la 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 la
Shabbat Shalom. We'll make Kiddush here in the sanctuary, and then we'll be able to all partake of the wonderful Kiddush that's sponsored by Sharon for all of us to join in the Simcha. If you want to follow along, it's on page 315. I just shut the book. Shomru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat L'asot et ha-Shabbat L'dorotam berit olam Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael Oti le'olam Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael Oti le'olam Sheshet Yamim Asa Adonai Et HaShamayim Ve'et Haaretz Uvayom HaShvi'i Shabbat Vayinafash Uvayom HaShvi'i Shabbat Vayinafash Al Kein Beirach Adonai Yom HaShabbat Vayikadshehu Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Borei Pri Hagafen. Baruch ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על נטילת ידיים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המוציא לחם מן הארץ. בתיאבון, שבת שלום. מזל טוב.
We'll see where he goes with that. I think they're trying to find something that he'll latch on to. And I know what he's latching on to. And he's like that whole TikToker or whatever. And like, is it influence like a priest that needs to be cautious of how he presents and how he this and how he that? And how does that affect you? And I'm trying to have more conversation before we show up so there's material to work with. Because you gave us a lot already. But it's a throw against the wall. It's not, you know, you gotta find something wonderful to work with.
Look who's here. A stranger. He says,
So you're sponsoring kids next week?
See, those are the height.
Yeah.
The names are those are probably
It's always, the third portion is always appropriate to wear. Look at that.
So you're not only going to come, you're going to read the Oh, right, yes.
That's the longest one that it has ever
I win. Nice to meet you. Shabbat Shalom. My name is Dylan and my business partner.
They want something really impressive.
Well, it's good, so glad that you brought Geraldine, because we've seen you once or twice at your house to drop off, but not often, it's been a long time.
So I don't want to do anything when I don't have it.
Most days, whatever they have.
I have a friend who, when you're arranging a Zoom meeting with her, instead of saying, see you later, she said, see you later. I picked that up.
That's
It
good.
really works.
And so it's,
I guess you're not staying because we're not staying either.
yeah.
You may get a gluten-free cookie on the day. Okay, you can use the other one. Yeah, we
This is our favorite
them also.
So if we have like, how many people did you have?
All right, I'm gonna get out also. Happy birthday. Okay, yes. And hopefully we'll see you in person soon.
That's
Again.
good. Your name wasn't there.
My name wasn't on it, and
Yeah.
I saw that I had enough people, and I thought, you know what, I really.
Yeah, I had 4, I think I had 6.
Is that about the?
So a bar mitzvah and with the number of salads and hoping that all the slots will be filled and you just get out early. It just gets done faster. But, you know, I don't know yet, it's too early for people to sign up. They're not gonna do it yet.
Right.
But
Okay.
it would be great if you could, you know, like the second in command.
Right, yeah, if I can get her number in case something
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, and I'm gonna
we'll
leave
do
her,
that
and I'll
online.
leave my number so that you can WhatsApp me.
Okay, great.
You know, either,
I have
either,
WhatsApp too.
either video or phone call.
Okay.
You just have to remember it's 6 hours. So don't call me 2 in the morning.
I'm from
Yes, I mean, it's great because there's no cost. Yeah. I talk to my daughter all the time, it's just been wonderful since we did WhatsApp.
Oh, I know.
my family in Brazil.
Oh, right, okay, so you're familiar,
My
yeah.
mom's side of the family, yeah.
Yeah, so it
All
works
the
very,
time. It's